the St. Louis Cardinals right here in St. Louis.
The Mets went to St. Louis and lost their first ever ball game. As a matter of fact, they lost their first 9. But that didn't mean opening day wasn't a world of fun.
We were all looking forward to it, even though we knew that it wasn't going to be a successful year, but it was almost like having a chance to start all over again. Of course, we had Casey Stengel in 1962, and he was wonderful to work with.
Now, if you can win 6-5, you're better off than losing 5-4. Now, if I can get the teamwork now to go with those men that are on that infield, we ought to find some method in which we can come out winning.
Punch from the left field. It's got to be in there. It's a base hit and the Mets win. The Mets win the ball game.
I still can't believe it.
Jeff McGraw gets the sign, goes into the motion. Here's the 2-strike pitch. Swung on, hit on the ground towards first. Miller has the ball. Looks to McGraw. It's over. The New York Mets have won the pennant.
Ground ball to second. Backman to Hernandez. The inevitable has finally become a reality.
We don't care what the records were last year. It's what are you going to do when we ring the bell opening day?
5 from Busch Stadium in St. Louis, the Mets take on the St. Louis Cardinals. Mets Baseball 92 is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud. By Chemical, intellectual currency, capital strength. By Las Vegas, always on the money. By Macy's, we're part of your life. By your Tri-State Toyota dealer, I love what you do for me, Toyota. And by the New Jersey Bell Yellow Pages, no other book can match. And on the mound for the Cardinals, Jose De Leon, his 1991 record 5-9 with an earned run average of 2.71.
When he struck out 17 the first game of the World Series here in 1968, but it was a very emotional moment for me going down there and seeing all the ex-Cardinals and a very proud tradition with this ball club, huh, Ralph?
Well, you were a great part of this team when they had some outstanding baseball players. And, of course, you started your major league career here with the St. Louis Cardinals and did a few things yourself that were outstanding.
Cardinals winning the World Championship in 1964, 1967, and then remarkably the Detroit Tigers coming back in 1968. There, the Cardinal World Championships, 31-34. Ralph talked about that in spring training when Dizzy Dean won game number 7. 1942, 1944 when they played against the St. Louis Browns. 46, they beat the Red Sox, the famous Johnny Pesky hesitation and Enos Slaughter scoring. And the Wizard of Oz, 12 Gold Gloves last year as the Cardinals take the field.
Cardinals with 9 World Series victories, 15 National League pennants, 3 National League East titles, and they have placed 37 men in the Hall of Fame. Here's Ozzie Smith with that acrobatic move that they actually discontinued for a long time. They were afraid he might hurt himself, but there's no way he could hurt himself with that kind of a move. He is one of the great athletes that has ever played this game.
I said 12 Gold Gloves last year. Only Ozzie Smith could win 12 Gold Gloves in a year.
he could win any amount he wants.
Starting pitcher tonight for the Cardinals as we get underway for the first pitch of the 1992 baseball season. Jose De Leon, his record last year, he was 6th in the National League in earned run average, but an only a 5-9 record with 14 no decisions last year. The Cardinals 13-15 in games that De Leon started in the 1991 season.
And the Mets lineup is brought to you by your local chapter GEO Chevrolet dealers, and this is it. Leading off and playing left field, Vince Coleman. Batting second at second base, Willie Randolph. Batting third and playing right field, Bobby Bonilla. Batting fourth in center field, Howard Johnson. Batting fifth at first base, Eddie Murray. Batting sixth and playing third base, Bill Pecota. Batting seventh, the shortstop, Kevin Elster. The catcher, Todd Huntley, batting ninth. And David Cohn, the pitcher, Huntley batting eighth and Cohn batting ninth.
Defensively for the Cardinals, Pedro Guerrero, you'll remember him as a first baseman. Well, he's in left field this evening. Ray Langford in center field, Milt Thompson in right. On the infield, Todd Zeal, Ozzie Smith, Jose Oquendo, Andres Galarraga coming over from Montreal in the offseason. Tom Pagnazzi, a Gold Glove to his credit last year. And De Leon on the mound as Vince Coleman leads it off for the Mets. The umpires, John McSherry, Frank Pulley, Bob Davidson, and Bill Hahn. Strike to Coleman with the fastball. Coleman, a former Cardinal, winning the stolen base championship 5 years in a row. His first year, 1985, and he tries to bunt and fouls it off. 0-2 to Vince Coleman.
Coleman with 586 stolen bases in his short major league career. He's 11th on the all-time list. Last year, of course, the season curtailed as he had hamstring pulls, played in only 72 games, and had 37 stolen bases. He was leading the league in stolen bases when he went down.
Those 586 stolen bases tied with Maury Wills, the great Dodger. 0-2 to Coleman. Way outside, 1-2. De Leon, an assortment of pitches, the fastball, the split finger fastball, and his flat breaking ball, and his breaking ball his third best pitch. The splitter gets Coleman, 1 out.
Auspicious start by De Leon as he goes to that split finger fastball. He has won 73 games in his major league career while losing 105, but he's a much better pitcher than that record. He has really been an unlucky pitcher.
And last year, an example of that. 6th in the National League in earned run average, but only a 5-9 record. Willie Randolph, the batter. And he pops it up. Foul territory. Pagnazzi and Zeal. One catcher and one former catcher. And it's the former catcher who makes the catch. 2 outs.
Big move by Joe Torre, moving Zeal to third base after showing that he was an outstanding catcher. And Zeal, of course, will get much more playing time at third base. He did lead the league in errors last year. As a third baseman, he made 25 errors.
Well, Bobby Bonilla, who led in errors when he was with Pittsburgh as a third baseman 2 years in a row, and that prompted the move by then manager Jim Leland, Bonilla to right field, and that's where he is tonight. And the splitter is outside. 1-1 to Bobby Bonilla. Traded at one time for Jose De Leon.
Pittsburgh originally signed him, and then the White Sox picked him up out of the minor leagues. They did not protect him on the major league roster, and then they traded back to get him.
Minor league teammate of Bip Roberts of the Cincinnati Reds, as a matter of fact. And the splitter with the ball and 2 strikes now to Bobby Bonilla. Just underway, the opening game for the Cardinals and the Mets. Jose De Leon on the mound.
Had a 2-19 record in 1985 for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
And the splitter gets Bonilla. So a very strong start for De Leon. We go to the bottom of the first. No score. We're back after this from Chemical. First opening day assignment ever. 14-14 last year. He led the National League in strikeouts with 241. David Cohn on the mound for the Mets.
And for the Cardinals, it'll be Ray Langford leading off. He'll be in center. Batting second, the shortstop, Ozzie Smith. Batting third and playing third base, Todd Zeal. Batting in the cleanup position, and the newcomer to the Cardinals from Montreal, Andres Galarraga. He'll be at first base. Batting fifth and playing left field, Pedro Guerrero. Batting sixth in right field, Milt Thompson. Felix Jose out of action because of a pulled muscle. The catcher, Tom Pagnazzi, will bat in the seventh position. Batting eighth and playing second base, Jose De Leon, Jose Oquendo, the former New York Mets player. And on the mound, Jose De Leon.
Defensively for the Mets, Vince Coleman in left field. Howard Johnson has adapted beautifully to center. Bobby Bonilla in right. Bill Pacoda, new man on the spot at third. Kevin Elster, the starting shortstop this evening. Willie Randolph, Eddie Murray on the right side of the infield. Todd Hundley behind the plate, and the first pitch from David Cohn is inside to Ray Lankford, ball one. Lankford, in his second full year, had a terrific year last year. Loops one to shallow right center. Bonilla coming on, and he can't get to it. Bonilla will have to go to second base, and out at second is Ray Lankford. So a single and an assist for Bobby Bonilla, one out.
Well, the Cardinals last year surprised everybody as they finished second, but they did have a lot of problems with base running. And here again on the first at-bat by a St. Louis Cardinal player, a mistaken judgment here as he was thrown out attempting to stretch a single into a double. Little blooper to right field. Bonilla can't get it. Makes a good play on the bounce as he takes it on the rise. Knocks it down, fortunately gets it in front of him, and has time to bounce it into second for the throw that gets the runner.
And here's Ozzie Smith, and he fouls it away. 0-1 to Ozzie. 1,955 hits, so he's 45 hits away from that 2,000 hit mark.
16th year in the major.
0-2 now to Ozzie Smith.
He, too, a good man on the bases. He's had 499 stolen bases in his major league career, 35 of them last year.
Inside. 1-2 to Ozzie Smith. No score, just underway. Mets and the Cardinals here in St. Louis. Splitter fouls it off. Still 1-2.
He talked about the Cardinal red in the opening, and the Cardinals sporting new uniforms, but they're the same color. They've given up zippers. Back to the old style of buttons.
On their shirts.
On their shirts, yeah.
2-2 to Smith. Outside, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Also in the ballpark, they have changed the dimensions of the field and have lowered the fences. Down the foul lines, it's still 330, but in the alleys, it's been changed from 383 to 375, and in center field from 414 to 402. Fences have been dropped 1.5 to 8 feet.
And the new dimensions of Busch Stadium here in St. Louis. Left center and right center, that's 375, not 373. And 402 to straightaway center. This ballpark has long been where fly balls go to die in right and left center field. So you wonder, Ralph, whether the Cardinals can immediately take advantage, more advantage of those distances, more advantage than the visiting club.
They're basically not a home run type ball club.
No. Hit hard, Randolph. 2 out. The throw almost pulling Murray off the bag. So a nice play by Willie Randolph, 2 away, and that'll bring up the Cardinal third baseman, Todd Zeal.
Zeal, a good year last year, raised his batting average 36 points.
Fly ball hit deep to right center. Howard Johnson, his first chance as the center fielder, and he makes the play. The Cardinals, a base running error in the first inning. They failed to score. No score after one, and we're back after this from Coca-Cola Classic. The second row to the left of your screen, Lou Brock, and in front of Lou, Bob Gibson, the Hall of Famer. August A. Bush III is the president of Anheuser-Busch, the owner of the Cardinals, and to his left, Stan the Man Musial. And we're going to try to get Stan Musial and Bob Gibson up here, have them say a few words, and maybe hear a few tunes from your pal Stan. What do you think, Robin?
Oh, you'll play at a drop of a hat. You'll put on a show in the men's room. There are two people there.
Stan always carries his harmonica as Howard Johnson fouls one off. We were at a party before the game tonight, and Stan's wife, Lil, said, Stan may leave me at home, but never his harmonica.
You know, it's a good thing he wasn't a tuba player.
Kind of tough to tote one around, huh? 1-1 to Hojo.
He was telling me at a party, John Goodman, the great actor, was there. He's playing the part of Babe Ruth in a movie coming out soon, and Dan got up and played, and Goodman said, hey, can I borrow that? And he grabbed it from Musial and went ahead and played it himself.
So John Goodman, a harmonica player also, huh?
He's among them.
Third base umpire Bill Hahn said Hojo did not go around on the splitter. It's 2 balls and a strike now to Howard Johnson. We're in the second inning of a scoreless ball game. Ground ball. Oquendo, brilliant play. He can't come up with it and may have hurt himself.
Looks like he might have got that arm underneath him as he fell over on his arm, and he is hurt. He is one of the great fielding second basemen.
A terrific play, and the Cardinals hope that it's not too expensive for them. Oquendo could not make the play. His first chance of the year, and it looked like that right shoulder may have come out of the socket, either the shoulder or the elbow.
Well, he makes the backhand grab, and then as his momentum carries him down, he goes on to that right shoulder. And it looks like that elbow got into the turf and was jammed up into the shoulder, and he's hurt.
Oh, boy, writhing in pain is Jose Oquendo. I mean, judging from the pain, it could be a very serious injury for the Cardinals' second baseman. Howard Johnson is awarded a base hit, the first hit of the year for the Mets. Cardinal trainer Gene Gieselman out to attend to Oquendo, and oh boy, either
maybe a wrist,
elbow, maybe a wrist, yeah.
Oquendo, one of the great fielding second basemen. He has actually a better fielding percentage on per chances accepted than Sandberg, who has the major league record for defensive play at second base. Oquendo hasn't played quite enough games to qualify to take that away from Sandberg.
Yeah, the criterion's 1,000 games, and Sandberg has played more than 1,000. Oquendo not quite at 1,000.
It appears to be his wrist.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times you hold a wrist like that, and your shoulder may be the problem. Tim Jones will go in to play second base for Oquendo. Wow, first chance of the year for Oquendo. And we will try to have a report on the Cardinal second baseman as soon as we get it. Howard Johnson's on at first, nobody out here in the second inning, scoreless ball game. Hojo, of course, 30 stolen bases last year, 3 times on the 30-30 club, 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases, and another look at Oquendo.
It does look serious, and Oquendo has left the game.
So Eddie Murray will be the batter now. Eddie, a .260 hitter a year ago, 96 RBIs, and this is his 16th opening day start. That is the most among active players. And there goes Johnson. Pitches outside. Pagnozzi's throw. Safe at second, and Smith drops the ball. It looked like a short hop. Pagnozzi, a fine year last year, throwing out 45% of the runners.
His lifetime percentage of throwing out base runners, 43%, and right here he gets off a short throw. It's in the dirt. And it appeared that they were going to call him out, and then the ball was dropped, so he'll get credit for a stolen base. As Johnson knocked the ball out of the glove of Ozzie Smith.
Didn't look like Smith came up with the ball cleanly, and Bill Hahn, make that Bob Davidson the second base umpire. It did look like he was going to punch him out. But Johnson safe with a stolen base. A ball and a strike now to Eddie Murray. Fouls it off, 1-2 to Eddie, who has worn out Jose De Leon during his career. 12 for 29 with 4 home runs.
Not too many batters have hit De Leon well. He has really had a great amount of success in holding batters to a low batting average.
Now Murray strikes out. That's the third strikeout for De Leon. And there's one out here in the second inning. Johnson remains at second, and that'll bring up Bill Pacoda, the third baseman. Bill coming over with Brett Saberhagen from Kansas City for Kevin McReynolds, Greg Jeffries, and Keith Miller. And the breaking ball is a strike. 0-1 to Pacoda.
Last year with Kansas City, with runners in scoring position, he batted .320.
Another breaking ball, tapped towards third. Zeal throws out Pacoda. 2 out. Todd Zeal, Ralph, you mentioned making that transition from behind the plate to third base. If you're going to do it, you might as well do it for a manager who did the same thing.
Joe Torre moving from behind the plate to third base and having good success at the move.
Joe Torre was an excellent third baseman. He wasn't a guy who was, a former catcher playing third. Matter of fact, the MVP in the National League back in 1971 when he hit .363. Kevin Elster now the batter. Strike one. De Leon staying ahead of the Mets hitters. After Elster's performance at Yankee Stadium on Saturday, next to last spring training game, a lot of people didn't think that Kevin would start tonight. Still nursing that bad shoulder. He made 2 errors on Saturday, 0-2 now to Kevin.
Good evening here in St. Louis. Temperature-wise, it's about 65 degrees, and I think that had a lot to do with it. They didn't want to play him in bad weather.
Fouled away. De Leon got away with one right there. He didn't want that pitch to be as good a strike as it was. If you're going to miss 0-2, you don't want to miss over the plate. You want to miss off the plate. Talk about how patient hitters have to be. Well, pitchers have to be patient, too.
Mets didn't see De Leon at all last year, which I'm sure they're happy about.
Elster down on strike. Strikeout number 4 for Jose De Leon. We're still scoreless through 1.5. We go to the bottom of the second after this word from Budweiser. That's pretty. Cardinal red. And it's usually a sea of red that supports this ball club. They have drawn over 3 million people twice here in this town, which is amazing because it's not that big a metropolitan area.
Tremendous franchise.
Their 100th year of existence as Andres Galarraga swings through a David Cone fastball, 0-1 to the former Expo, who had his first Major League home run in this ballpark. Well, what a dreadful year Galarraga had last year.
One thing you saw him last year, he only played in 107 games and he cut down on his strikeouts. 8-year average of 152 strikeouts prior to last year.
I think that's one thing that Don Baylor, the hitting instructor of the Cardinals, could help him with. Don Baylor recently signed as I say recently, over the winter, signed as the Cardinal hitting instructor.
And what a great hitter he was. But he had the style of hitting right on top of the plate. He was hit by more pitches than any batter. And Galarraga appears to be closer to the plate. Galarraga at one time was deeper in the batter's box, which made him very vulnerable to outside pitches. And it looks like they've got him up on the plate. Yeah, they certainly have.
And Cone tries to come inside. It's 3-2 now to Galarraga, especially with 2 strikes. The hitter should take that approach. And there's Don Baylor, the hitting instructor of the Cardinals.
Two of the best hitters you ever want to see, Don Baylor and Frank Robinson, hit right on top of the plate.
Got him. Cone's first strikeout, a fastball right on the corner. 1 out here in the second.
Well, Cone tied for the Major League lead in strikeouts with Clemens of the Boston Red Sox, and the National League leader gets his first of the year here. Cone started so many games with brilliant first innings in strikeouts. And there you see Don Baylor talking to Galarraga.
And Pedro Guerrero, the batter.
It really helps you when you're having problems, when you get some help from a professional type hitter like Baylor was.
Frank Pulley said Guerrero went too far. It's 1-1 now to Guerrero.
You can believe someone who has done the job prior to going into the coaching side.
Popped up right side. Murray towards the stand, and it's out of play. 1-2 now to Guerrero.
I know in 1947 when Hank Greenberg joined the Pittsburgh Pirates, Hank in his last year in baseball, and he changed my batting stance considerably.
What did he do?
I struggled. He got me up on the plate, as a matter of fact. I struggled for a couple of months, and it was always comforting to know that he said, stick with it, it'll work, and it did work. But it took some time.
I also, at 2-2 to Guerrero, I also had the benefit of a major league hitter and a good one, George Crowe, in 1961. He was released by the Cardinals, and they asked if he wanted to go down to the minor leagues. I was in the minors, and he helped me immeasurably. As Guerrero is down on the breaking ball. 2 straight strikeouts for Cone. 2 outs. And what Crowe had me do was get down on the end of the bat instead of choking up on the bat and close my batting stance. I was open. He closed it. I hit with a lot more authority, and I think that, as much as anything, wrote my ticket to the big leagues in about a 2-year period. You know, initially you're not successful with the change, but you got to stick with it, and I think that's your point.
That's a big point.
Yep. As Milt Thompson grounds to Murray at first. Cardinals going in order in the second. No score here in St. Louis. Opening night. What a lovely night it is. We're back after this from Chase, Manhattan. It off for the Mets here in the top of the 3rd inning. Scoreless ball game. And Todd taps one toward first. Galarraga, tough play. Nice play. 1 out. Boy, that's a fine play by the former Gold Glove first baseman, Andres Galarraga.
Well, they call him the cat, and he is quick. De Leon almost didn't get over to first base. He was not hustling at the beginning. Now you see him turning on as he starts and sees that he has to go there. And a good toss and a tough way to catch a ball, as De Leon did not cover immediately. He should go to the line and then go up the line with the runner, so the throw is easier to catch. He goes straight to the bag. It's a tougher play.
So a fine play by Galarraga, shuffling off to De Leon, one out here in the third, and David Cohn, the batter. David, a good hitter. Nothing in one.
He has had the only pinch hit by a Mets pitcher in their history, and this is their 31st year.
And this one hit to right field, and Milt Thompson is there and makes the catch. 2 outs in the third round. The ball doesn't carry well in this ballpark, even in the hot summer. But here in April, I mean, you really got to crush it to get it out of here. The gateway to the West.
And they got that completed in right away, as you would imagine somebody flew an airplane underneath it. And right on through. De Leon has given up 1 hit, a hard infield base hit by Howard Johnson, and on the play, Oquendo injured himself and had to leave the ball game.
Vince Coleman now struck out in the first inning. Breaking ball is outside and high. 1-0 to Coleman. De Leon has struck out 4. David Cohn has struck out 2. No score here in the third, each side with a hit. Ball 2-0.
Coleman did attempt to bunt his first time up and fouled it off. The first baseman and third baseman were playing in. Todd Zeal, the third baseman, dropped back a bit.
Coleman looking like he wanted to bunt, and he takes. Ball 3. 3 balls and 1 strike now to Vince Coleman. Mike Covage at third base. Over at first base, the hitting instructor of the Mets, Tom McCraw. Ball 4. The first walk of the ball game. And of all the guys you don't want to walk with the Mets, it's Vince Coleman.
Bill Coleman, a threat to steal. .586 stolen bases in his major league career.
Willie Randolph, the ideal batter to hit behind Coleman. He will take even up to 2 strikes. So he'll probably give him a chance to run. The fastball is high, ball 1. Coleman, of course, the type of base stealer that would run on his own. Not running. The fastball is high, ball 2. 6 straight balls thrown by De Leon. Pagnozzi out to talk to De Leon. You know, there's a guy in our booth, Ralph, that I used to go out and talk to, and the great line, the only thing you know about pitches is that it's hard to hit.
I love the fact that you tell the story. Johnny Keane was the manager of the Cardinals, and he had a sign with you to go out and talk to the pitcher, and you wouldn't look.
And we're talking about Bob Gibson, number 45, the Hall of Famer. And we'll try to get Bob in here. Bob sneaking into our booth here. 2 balls and no strikes to Willie Randolph. Coleman diving back. Not a good running situation here because De Leon's wild. I think he'll probably make De Leon throw a strike. Nope, there he goes. Fastball is high. The throw is right there, but Coleman has a stolen base.
That's an interesting point, Tim. It didn't figure for him to be running on the 2-0 pitch because he had missed with 6 straight pitches. And again, he misses here. The pitch, a fastball high and inside. Pagnozzi, who does so awfully well, makes a perfect throw, but Coleman just outruns it. So he gets the stolen base with the count 3-0. Strange percentage in that gamble right there.
Boy, it was close, too. There goes Coleman on the 3-0 pitch. Out in third, and a terrible base running play by Vince Coleman. That is a terrible play. No score after 2.5. We're back after this from your Tri-State Toyota dealer.
Well, Coleman thrown out on his attempt to steal third base with 2 men out. A bad play, as Tim pointed.
Throw down to third base to cut down Vince Coleman, who went 1 for 2 in his time on the base paths that time. Pagnozzi. And he'll tip that one into the mitt. For Vince Coleman now with that stolen base, he is moved ahead of Murray Wills by 1. He's 11th in Major League Baseball history in stolen bases and 6th in the National League now. Fouled off down the right field line.
Well, Coleman had a good jump from second base. 2 things happened here. Watch Randolph. Now, he ducks out of the way. You usually make the catcher throw behind you. And a nice tag by Zeal. If he would have gone in head first, he would have been safe there. He went in the second head first, which is unusual. He came back and went feet first in the third.
Boy, they're piling up the strikeouts here, I think.
Yeah,
That's 3 now for Cone and 4 for De Leon. It's not unusual. Both of these guys are strikeout pitchers, and there's 1 away in the 3rd inning.
Gary, just to finish that thought, Randolph moved out of the way. That's one of the reasons you steal third base with a right-handed hitter up there instead of a left-handed hitter, because the catcher has to throw around the batter. In this case, Randolph moved out of the way, which helped Pagnozzi.
Jones, who came on for Oquendo, drives that to Bobby Bonilla, and they're quickly 2 down here in the 3rd inning. So both these pitchers are throwing strikes on the first pitch, and the teams are responding by going after the first pitch here. David Cone, 241 strikeouts last year. He's led the National League in strikeouts for the last 2 years. Who was the last pitcher to lead the league in strikeouts 3 consecutive seasons?
You're asking me?
No, just a general question
Oh,
to the
okay.
folks
To
out
the
there.
fans,
Yeah,
good.
because I don't know trivia. I'll never ask you a trivia question because I don't know trivia.
And I'm worse than you
Well,
are.
all right, then we're even on that. Jose De Leon, and he fouls it off. He was one of my favorite all-time pitchers, a left-hander by the name of Warren Spahn.
That was the last
The
guy?
last guy
I would have guessed Sandy Koufax.
to lead it 3 years in a row was Warren Spahn. David Cone will go after that mark this year. Nasty pitch. And he's got his 4th strikeout, retiring the side in order. He's gone through 3 innings, given up 1 hit, and faced only 9.
No, I would never make that much.
See, I think you'd be pretty close to that.
But I'm glad it's the second baseman.
Yeah, that's right. You would be favoring that, wouldn't you? All right, ready to go here in the 4th inning. 0-1-1 for each team. 1 single. Langford has picked it up for the Cardinals, and Howard Johnson for the Mets. And we will see for the Mets, Bobby Bonilla.
Interesting, we talked about the new attitude that they feel Jose De Leon has. This is the type of game that you'll be able to find out. The games that were close and where they stay close and down the stretch he would lose 2-1, 1-0, or whatever. This will be a good test for him because David Cone has pitched very well in these types of situations.
Joe, what was the last out in the last inning? I thought it was a throw at third base on a steal. Deep to right field. Bobby Bonilla watching it. Goodbye, home run. He ringed it. But what was he doing up? They gave Randolph a walk, that's why. So Bobby Bonilla has given the New York Mets a 1-0 lead.
That is one of the things that Bobby Bonilla was brought to New York for, to add a little more excitement to what is already there. And you watched him swing the bat, and he just kind of stood there and watched it. He knew it was gone. And the middle of that order will do that quite often this year.
Boy, did he get a hold of that one. That's why they acquired him, and that's what the New York Mets are hoping for this year from these guys right here. Jose De Leon, who gave up 15 home runs last season, gives one up to Bonilla leading off the 4th inning. And the Mets on their second hit have a 1-0 lead. And there was no question about that shot. Off speed, misses away, 1 ball, 1 strike. So Willie Randolph had been given a walk before they threw out Coleman at third base for the final out of the 3rd inning, and that's why he was not back up leading off the inning again.
Well, I would have been one of those people at home wondering what happened to Randolph, so I'm glad you let me know.
I was why he was up there.
I was doing the same thing. I had Willie Randolph penciled in. I thought it was 3-2, and I didn't know it was a fourth ball.
Me either. Glad we found out.
Well,
Glad that was legal for Bonilla's sake.
Right. John McSherry's always in charge. He knows what he's doing.
You got it.
He's got 22 years in the big league.
Howard Johnson fouls it off, and the count stays at a ball and 2 strikes.
Let's take a look at Bobby Bonilla's home run. This is his first home run in 1992. Look, a high fastball, and that's a tough pitch to hit. And he just turned on it, and he knew it was gone right away.
Bobby Bonilla had 18 home runs last year, Joe, and hit 4 of them against right-handers. He starts this season off against the right-hander with a home run.
Well, see, that's why moving the fence didn't really hurt the Cardinals then, didn't it?
They could have had the fences.
Yeah.
They could have had the fences across the street on that shot. It was out of here.
Right. That's one of the fallacies of statistics, because they'll say, well, you know, opposition has hit more home runs here than the Cardinals. Well, that one would have been out no matter where the fences were or any stadium.
His 19th career home run hit in April. And the New York Mets pick up where they left off last year. They had 17 home runs against St. Louis last year, more than any other team against the Cardinals. And they've got one here off De Leon. The 2-2 delivery to Howard Johnson. Great off-speed pitch. 5 strikeouts. Tom Mees.
All right, Gary, in Pittsburgh tonight, bottom of the 2nd inning. 1 run over the end for the Pirates. Doug Drabek is your batter. Steve Buechele and Jose Lean are on base. Drabek singles to center. Buechele scores easily. Here comes Jose Lean. Watch the block of the plate by Darren Fletcher. Lean is out. Pirates lead at 2-0 in the 3rd. Back to St. Louis, Gary.
How much will Pittsburgh be hurt? The loss of people like Bonilla and John Smiley. Remains to be seen, but you don't lose talent like that and not have some effect on it.
Well, you're losing more than just the talent of Bobby Bonilla. You know, on the field, you're losing his leadership in the clubhouse. And I think that's very important.
Eddie Murray, the switch hitter. The 1-0 count goes the other way with it. Guerrero. And the fans applaud him and left. He'll get a little of that early on.
Well, he's probably a better left fielder than he was a first baseman. That's the ironic thing about this. No, I think Pedro was a good outfielder. You know, I mean, he used to play outfield a little bit in L.A. Yeah. He knows what he's doing out there, so it's not a strange position for him.
And there are 2 down. Daly.
As Pacoda takes the first pitch, ball for ball 1.
He's not going to track any down, but he can make the routine plays out there.
And ball 2. Again, the breaking ball. 2 balls, no strikes to Pacoda, who grounded out his first time up. And this one line down the left field line for a base hit. It will be extra bases. The ball fielded off the wall by Guerrero. And Pacoda with his first National League hit. A double to left. So De Leon has given up a home run and the double in this inning. The Mets lead him 1-0.
You know, Bill Pacoda's style reminds me a little bit of Tim Tuffle in that both are inside hitters. Tim Tuffle with the San Diego Padres now, longtime Met. Both are inside hitters. They both like the ball up, and both have pretty good power on that ball inside.
And now Kevin Elster, and he pops it up in foul territory. Coming back is Pagnazzi, and it will be out of play. Elster was struck out his first time up. Pagnazzi, a Gold Glove winner. The catcher for Jose De Leon. Good hard slider for strike 2. Cardinals last year a surprise second place finish, 14 games back of Pittsburgh. The Mets finished 5th, and that was a surprise. 20.5 games back of the Pirates. And another good gets quieter and another strikeout. That's strikeout number 6, but the Mets have broken on the scoreboard. They have 1 run on the home run by Bonilla. They had 2 hits in the inning and 1 man left on. The score at the end of 3.5 innings, the Mets won, the Cardinals nothing. And here's a word from Nobody Beats the Wiz.
Won today, by the way, behind Bill Swift.
Dividends on the trade for Kevin Mitchell, wired from Seattle. Roger Craig that year in '62 lost 24 ball games. You have to be a pretty good pitcher to lose 24 games. Now the batter is Todd Zeal. Ball 1 to Zeal. Zeal flying out to center field his first time up. That's a good lead at first, drives the throw. Cone throws over to first more than any pitcher, at least if you go by last year's record, more than any pitcher in the National League. Good curveball again. It's 1-1.
By the way, earlier in our broadcast, when our power was out, we had Bob Gibson in, and not a word got on the air from Bob, but he will be back. As a matter of fact, he is back. He was over on KMOX Radio, doing some radio with Jack Buck and Mike Shannon, and he shall return like General MacArthur. Saw Barry Foote flashing signals to Todd Hundley, the catcher. Barry Foote tells Hundley to tell the pitchers when to throw to first base. There he is.
Another one over to first base. Cohen averaged 15.8 throws to first base in 9 innings. An average of 15.8 throws a game. Picked off 2 batters, 2 runners.
He's not going to first on this pitch.
And it's ball 2, 2 balls and 1 strike.
You may have seen our broadcast yesterday, folks, and when Todd Hundley puts his right hand on his right leg, his right inside thigh, that is a sign for the pitcher to throw to first base. So you at home will know. So Cone is not going to first base unless he elects to do it on his own, and that time he did.
Cone made 408 pickoff attempts last year. 408 throws to first base. There goes the runner, and the ball hit through the hole and into right field for a base hit. Smith goes to third base easily, and the Cardinals have runners at first and third with 1 out.
Cardinal team builds their offense around animation on the bases. Not necessarily base running speed, but a lot of players who can do a lot with the bat. A perfectly executed hit and run, and a threat for the Cardinals.
And it brings up Andres Galarraga. Galarraga was struck out his first time up. Galarraga acquired from Montreal. And he goes after a breaking ball and fouls it into the stands.
You could almost see Galarraga cut down on his stroke. I mean, here's a guy who's struck out a lot of times. We talked about Don Baylor's influence with Andres earlier, and that was a type of swing that looked like a cut down on your stroke type of swing.
Make contact. That's a double play depth and another throw to first. Zeal can run. 17 stolen bases last year. And another good curve. 1988, Galarraga hit .302 with the Montreal Expos with 29 home runs and 92 RBIs, his best year ever in the majors. And the breaking ball for a ball. He became the first major league player to lead the league in hits and also in strikeouts that year. He had 184 hits while striking out 153 times. Zeal, the runner at first base. Smith, the runner at third. The Mets leading 1-0, one man out. We're in the bottom half of the fourth inning. Cardinals first threat. Off the hands, grounded to second. It'll score a run. Randolph picks up the out at first base, and Smith crosses home, and it's a tie game at 1.
Tell you, Galarraga really fighting off a very difficult fastball from David Cohn. Cohn got it right where he wanted it after a bevy of breaking balls outside, out of the strike zone. Galarraga doing a good job just making contact, and drives in a run and pushes another one to second base.
So Zeal is second, and Pedro Guerrero is the batter. Guerrero struck out on a curveball his first time up. Swings at the curveball here for strike 1. Guerrero, a lifetime .302 batter in his major league career. Fastball line to center field. The Cardinals will take the lead. Johnson fields it perfectly. Goes into the cutoff man as Zeal scores, and the Cardinals lead it 2-1. Guerrero with his first run batted in of the year.
The one thing you do not want Guerrero to do is extend his arms on a pitch in the strike zone. This fastball just laying over the outside part of the plate. And when Guerrero can extend his arms on a strike, he hits the ball hard often.
So Guerrero, a great RBI man, picks up his first RBI. The Cardinals take the lead 2-1, and that brings up Milt Thompson. Thompson grounded out his first time up, and he takes the strike. Thompson last year raised his batting average 89 points, tying Barry Pendleton for the biggest raise of the year from the year before. Pendleton, of course, led the National League in hitting in his first year with Atlanta after going there from St. Louis. So Thompson, an outstanding year last year, hitting .307. Guerrero not being held on at first base, and the pitch is grounded foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
What we were talking about with Guerrero, how he extends his arms. You really have a chance to see it from the center field camera. Well, that's great extension on fastballs in the strike zone. If you pitch him away, it's got to be right there. Pitchers try to crowd Guerrero and throwing breaking balls away, but that fastball just kind of tailed back on the outside part of the plate.
2-2 the count. Guerrero running with a pitch, and it's fouled off. And Guerrero surprising everybody, although he had 4 stolen bases last year as he was running on the pitch. Mets not holding him on. This time, Eddie Murray a little closer to the back, but still in back of the runner. And Thompson grounds it foul. Hits are all even at 3 apiece. The Mets on a home run by Bonilla for their 1 run, and the Cardinals picking up 2 runs here on a walk and 2 hits. And it's strike 3. So Cone ends the inning with a strikeout, his 6th of the game. But the Cardinals take the lead. 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 left. The score at the end of 4. It's the Cardinals 2, the Mets 1. And here's a word from Virgin Atlantic. Top of the 5th inning, the Cardinals in front 2-1, and for the Mets it'll be Todd Huntley to lead it off. And once again, we'd like to welcome Bob Gibson back. He had been here, and then we lost the picture and sound in New York, so back for an encore.
You knocked our power out, Bob.
Yeah, I've been accused of a lot of things, but never knocking the station off there.
And that pitch is ball 1. Incidentally, Bob, what are you doing now?
Well, I'm not doing a lot of anything. Make a few appearances here and there. Work for a pharmaceutical company, Asthma Allergy Foundation. I have a little bit of asthma, and that's why it bothers me a lot of time when guys smoke cigars.
What are you doing here? 2-0 to Huntley, who grounded out his first time up, and there's the strike, 2-1.
Tell you, Bob, I don't know if you've seen a lot of Todd Huntley, but he reminds us a lot of his father, Randy Huntley, a 12-year veteran, primarily with the Chicago Cubs. I said, this guy is going to really be a good defensive catcher. He's got a gun. He's great on low pitches.
And he hit this one to fairly deep center field. Langford over there to make the play, 1 away.
Yeah, I pitched against Todd in one of those fantasy camps. You know, Randy would always have his son there. And,
oh, yeah?
And, yeah, I was right here in St. Louis. And I was still, quite a few years ago, I was throwing the ball pretty good. And he came up to hit off of me to see if he could. And I threw him a changeup, and he hit it off the wall out there. And I didn't get a chance to face him the next time. I was going to knock him down.
You wouldn't do that. Come on.
Not in a fantasy camp.
Oh, he was only about 17. He shouldn't have been out there.
Now the batter is David Cone. He hits the first pitch to center field. Very easy play for Langford, and 2 men away.
You asked me what I was doing. I'm in the process of writing a book, another book. You know, when Tim and I played together, I did one, but I'm trying to do another one. I think in '94 probably could come out.
That's great.
It's going to be called Stranger to the Game, and that means a lot of different things. One is I don't know what's going on out there today.
Well, it is different. I mean, earlier, for instance, we saw Vince Coleman making the last out at third base, and the next inning, Bobby Bonilla comes up, and he takes De Leon deep for the only run that the Mets have scored. That could have very easily been a 3-run homer instead of a solo homer had Coleman stayed at second, but that's an example of how the game has changed.
How many times do you see someone thrown out as a line shot to second is fielded by Tim Jones, and the Mets are out? Thrown out on a ball 4 to a batter.
Yeah.
Right now, here's a word from Sharp Electronics. VHS camcorders. National League scoreboard. Some other action in the National League as the season gets underway. San Diego beat Cincinnati 4-3. Randy Myers picked up a save in that game for San Diego. Swift won it for San Francisco over the Dodgers 8-1, and Pittsburgh playing at home against Montreal, leading 2-0 in the bottom of the 4th. And right now, here's Tim McCarver.
All right, Ralph, thank you very much. Tom Pagnozzi leads it off for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 5th. A 2-1 ball game. The Mets on a home run by Jose De Leon opened the scoring. Then the Cardinals came back with 2 in the bottom of the 4th. Ground ball hard to Elster, and he throws out Pagnozzi. And our guest on our broadcast, the Hall of Famer Bob Gibson. And Bob, in this ballpark in 1968, the first game of the World Series, I will never forget that day, and I know you won't either. You struck out 17 Detroit Tigers, and you threw a slider to Willie Horton for the last out of the ball game, and I think Willie still thinks that ball hit him. That's how much the ball broke. I've told that story time and time again, but I don't think I've ever seen, of a lot of sliders that you threw, I don't think I saw any ball break any more than that. First pitch to Jones, strike 1.
Yeah, you know, he was going to turn around and yell at the umpire, but he didn't know where that ball was, you know.
I think I remember him going, ooh, thinking the ball was going to hit him, and it broke over the outside part of the plate.
You know, I always thought I had advantage in series and any games other than
games that were in the National League, because whenever I faced the teams from the American League, all the reports had fastball, 95-mile-an-hour fastball. And my
Which you
slider,
had.
Yeah, but my slider was really my best pitch, and it was my out pitch. And I threw it quite often, and in the All-Star games or in the World Series, I threw a lot of sliders, and they're still looking for fastballs, and that's why I did so well in those games.
Winning 7 in a row from 1964 through 1968. 7 in a row in the World Series, and that's still a record. As Tim Jones goes down on strike, 7 strikeouts now for David Cohn. A pretty impressive breaking ball from Cohn, huh?
Yeah, well, what's more impressive than his breaking ball is that fastball he's got.
Checking the American League scoreboard. Toronto over Detroit 4-2, and home run by Cecil Fielder in that ball game. Minnesota 4, Milwaukee 2, a final. Baltimore 2, Cleveland nothing. Sutcliffe pitching that game for Baltimore.
Jose De Leon, the pitcher, went too far, 0-1 to De Leon.
And it's Texas later against Seattle. Ryan scheduled to pitch that ball game. Kansas City against Oakland.
1-1 now to De Leon.
Where's Ryan now? 45?
Nolan Ryan is 45 years old. Unbelievable. Still throwing hard.
They keep trying to come up with reasons why he's throwing hard, at the age of 45, and he takes these types of pills, and he does it. He just happens to be one of those guys that has the type of body, and he'll probably be able to pitch when he's 50.
Got great leg action. He learned a lot from Tom Seaver when he was with the Mets on how to use his lower part of his body, and boy, has he done it for a long time. 2-2 to De Leon, and he goes too far. So the Cardinals in order, and the bottom of the 5th, our thanks to Bob Gibson. Bob, it's always great to see you, my friend.
Thank you, Tim.
And the very best to you.
See you, Bob.
Still 2-1 Cardinals after 5. We'll be back after this from Lifesavers Candy. Willie Randolph leads it off. 3 hits for each team, and the breaking ball to Randolph is high, ball 1. When Randolph was at the plate the last time, he walked, and Coleman was thrown out for the 3rd out. A ball and no strikes now to Willie Randolph as you look at the S on the left sleeve of the Mets uniform.
That S is honoring Bill Shea, who died last year. Bill, of course, was the man that was instrumental in bringing National League Baseball back to New York after the Dodgers and Giants left in 1957. And his widow will be throwing out the first ball opening day on Friday. Bill Shea, for whom the stadium is named, one of the great people, a lawyer in New York, and a great, great baseball fan.
Ball 2, 2 balls and 1 strike now to Willie Randolph. 2-1 Cardinals here in the top of the 6th. Randolph 0 for 1. He has walked and popped the 3rd. Ball 3. 3 balls and 1 strike. Seems like we have a nest of Cardinals up here in our booth tonight, Ralph.
A whole gaggle of them, right?
Yeah.
Dan Musial is showing up here, right?
There's the strike. 3 balls, 2 strikes now to Randolph. Number 6, 3,630 hits, 1,815 on the road, 1,815 at home. How do you figure that out?
And he got his 3,000th hit at Wrigley Field.
Todd Zeal to his left, and he throws out Randolph. 1 away here in the 6th. Opening night here in St. Louis. And the St. Louis Cardinals celebrating their 100th year in baseball, and I don't think there was, and I'm not saying it because Stan's here, because we've said it before, the major domo as far as Cardinals were concerned, the number 1 Cardinal, Stan Musial.
This is his 40th opening day here in St. Louis. He hasn't missed a one.
Coming up in 1941. 0-1 to Bobby Bonilla. His last time up kind of looked like Stan Musial, didn't it?
Well, Stan did this a few times, and Bonilla puts it out of the ballpark for his first home run as the Mets in their first run of the season.
The splitter is low. 1-1 now to Bonilla, and Stan will be our guest in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Dan likes to tell the story about the old-timers game he played in this ballpark, and the players are complaining about how tough it was to hit a home run. His first time up in that old-timers game, he hit one out.
I was here that day. I remember that day. 2 balls and 1 strike to Bonilla. Ground ball hard past the diving Galarraga. So Bonilla, with his 2nd straight hit, is a 1-out base runner. Bonilla now 2 for 3. That is the 4th Mets hit. And Howard Johnson, the batter. Ojo 1 for 2. His first time up, he got the first Met hit of the 1992 season, and in doing so, Jose Oquendo made a diving stop, a brilliant play, but jammed his right shoulder in the process. And we have a report on Oquendo as Johnson takes strike 1. Oquendo has a jammed right shoulder. X-rays showed no tear, no break, and further diagnosis will be taken tomorrow, and everybody hoping, of course, that Oquendo's all right. 0-1 to Johnson. This one hit deep to right field, but Thompson is back. Bonilla is tagging on the play, and Thompson, preparing to throw, makes a strong throw and beneath Bonilla, hole, 2 out.
That's a good play by the Mets. Bonilla tagging up on the fly ball. You don't see that done too often. It should be done more. Balls are not dropped in the outfield, and tagging up and taking advantage of someone who might become a spectator out there. But Thompson right on top of it, gets in good throwing position and makes the throw-in, stopping Bonilla.
That was a great shot right there. That low home shot showing Thompson getting in the proper position to make the play. Here's Murray. This one hit hard to right. Thompson's there. Still 2-1 Cardinals. We go to the bottom of the 6th after this word from Budweiser. Bottom of the 6th inning here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Fine crowd on hand, especially considering the fact that the NCAA Finals begins in 15 minutes as Ray Lankford leads it off for the Cardinals. It's St. Louis 2 and New York 1 here in the bottom of the 6th. Ray Lankford has singled and struck out, and he takes a breaking ball for a strike as we welcome Stan Musial, number 6, to our booth, and we are honored and proud to have you. Stas, how are you?
Well, great. Nice seeing you with you and Ralph. You're a couple of my old buddies, and you know we've been around for. This is my 50th opener, believe it or not.
Is it 50th? Yeah. Wow.
That's right, it would be, wouldn't it?
Goes fast, doesn't it? Goes fast.
1-1 to Lankford. I told the story earlier that your wife Lil said that you would leave her behind before you would your harmonica, and sure enough, you've got Lil and your harmonica here tonight, right?
Well, I never leave home alive.
Lankford grounds to Murray at first base, 1 out here in the 6th inning. Well, last year, I remember that, the early part of September, you played Wabash Cannonball for us, right?
Yeah, that was those Disney theme songs, you know. He was a Cardinal announcer, and every game he sang the Wabash Cannonball, so I learned that song.
From Disney, I guess.
Yeah, Disney. That's that Disney theme.
Here's Ozzie Smith, who walked and scored the first Cardinal run of the season.
Too bad I don't know New York.
You haven't learned that one yet.
Inside, 1-1 to Smith. 2-1 Cardinals.
That old Gas gang they had a bunch of characters. Pepper Martin, they had their own little band.
They had their own band, and they had a lot of fun, and Pepper McGee, he played the fiddle, you know, Pepper Martin, and Frenchy Border Grade. But above all that, you know, they had fun, but to top it off, why, these guys just play baseball, you know. You can have fun and and play good baseball. Well, that's a great combination.
Gas House Gang, the world champions back in 1934 over Detroit. You broke in 7 years later in 41, kind of on the other end of the Gas House Gang. Huh? Ground ball to second. That'll be 2 outs.
Yes, I was shortly behind them. Of course, they play with guys like Terry Moore and Enos Slaughter and Joe Medwick and the Cooper boys. So they were all part of that Gas House Gang, and they were a great group.
You signed as a pitcher out of Denora, Pennsylvania. What made you change to want to be an outfielder?
Well, because I could always hit.
I play every day.
Even in high school. One thing, I was a wild left-hander like all left-handers are when you're young, but I could always hit in high school, and why the Cardinals didn't use me as an outfielder or sign me as an outfielder, I'll never know, because I was a good high school hitter.
Todd Zeal fouls it off, 0-2.
When you were playing minor league ball, you pitched and played.
I pitched and played, and that's given me a lot of experience about hitting and help my cause along. But I know I'd never been a Warren Swan as a pitcher because I was wild and didn't have confidence. I didn't have confidence in my pitching, whereas I had confidence in hitting. I knew I could hit and I could get the bat on the ball, and so that's when you have confidence in what you're doing, it's a very important item.
Ball and 2 strikes now to Todd Zeal, outside, 2-2. And you could run when you were young, Stan.
Oh, I could fly.
You could fly.
I could fly. Slaughter 9, Terry Moore, and Enos. We were fast outfield, and that's. I got a lot of infield hits, with my speed.
Well, you were an opposite field hitter when you first came up, and then you started to pull more as your career got a little more extended.
Well, I started to change my style because of you. You home run hitters were getting all the money. So I said, I better change my style, and to which I did.
Well, that has changed a little bit. I'll tell you what. You've done all right for yourself, Stan. Not too bad. Still 2-1 Cardinals after 6. Stan Musial will continue to be our guest right after this word from Shell.
What there was, Jim?
No.
Walk with thee. It's a little walk with thee. Little walk with thee.
Well, on that note, here's Ralph for the play-by-play.
And that noise you hear in the background is a baseball game going on. High pop-up. As Bill Pacoda goes after the fastball and skies out to shallow left field. Out number 1 here in the 7th.
I have a story, I like to play with my eyes closed. I can concentrate, hit the right notes, And I joined the Harmonica Club of St. Louis, real professional guys, And they do a lot of good charity work. We go to hospitals and nursing homes and places like that. So they invited me to play one afternoon at a nursing home. And there must have been about 100 people there, and I started playing this song. And as I was playing, I had my eyes closed, and I looked up, half of them were sleeping. so I played louder, I woke them up.
And now the batter, Kevin Elster, takes, and the count 2-0. We have Jeff Ennis throwing in the bullpen for the Mets as they work down to the 9th position in the batting order. The Mets trailing 2-1. Their only home run of the year and their only run of the year coming on Bonilla's home run as Elster fouls it down, and it's a 2-ball, 1-strike count. Elster has struck out the 2 times he has been up. Well, you've done a lot of playing with some professional entertainers like Al Hurt and that sort of thing.
Oh, yes, I've go to these charity golf tournaments, and these country western guys, they do a lot of nice work for charity, and they love golf, and they love baseball. So I've run into, Roy Clark and Charlie Pride and Boots Randolph, and so Al Hurt is good, my good buddy. He's a good backup. So I played with some symphonies here in St. Louis. Little music is a lot of fun, and it's always nice to bring my harmonica around.
As you're listening to Stan Musial, both playing the harmonica and talking about his experiences. And Stan, of course, in the Hall of Fame of baseball, and we always look forward to seeing you up there at Cooperstown.
Yeah, Ralph, we're going up the 1st of August. Let's see who's going in.
Tom
Seaver, one of the great pitchers of the Mets through the years, and it'll be great to see Tom up there.
Also Raleigh Fingers and Hal Newhouser, who really deserves to be in, and really should have been in there, I think, long before this. It's great to see him in there.
He had some great years in the American League. You know, he won something like 80 some games in 4 years and lost about 15. He had some great years. He really did.
Only pitcher ever to be back-to-back MVPs in 45 and 46 for Detroit.
That's true. He was MVP 2 years in a row.
You know, I played with Raleigh Fingers' father in the minor leagues.
Is that right?
He was a pitcher, too. Not as good as Raleigh, though.
Did he have a mustache? And now the batter is Todd Huntley as the Mets trail 2-1. 2 men out here in the 7th inning. Huntley is 0 for 2. He has grounded out and flied to center. Jose De Leon working on the mound for the Cardinals. He has given up 4 base hits, and that's ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. De Leon, a real enigma. And that ball hit Todd Huntley as they check it out. Look at the ball. Shoe polish evidently on the ball, and now Joe Torre says, hey, what's going on? So the Mets do have a runner on as Huntley was hit by that pitch that appeared to be in the dirt. John McSherry explaining it all to Joe Torre.
Reminds you of the 69 series at all, Ralph?
Leon Jones and Gil Hodges coming out with polish on the ball. They always said that Gil had 7 or 8 balls in the dugout that he would bring out that had polish on them in a circumstance like this. And how about Nippy Jones in the Milwaukee series?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
That's 57, I believe.
So the Mets have a base runner.
This Huntley's son of
Todd Huntley,
Yeah, isn't that nice?
He is going to be a good catcher. It was hard to tell from that, but, you know, a hitter can't act that quickly, so I think Huntley obviously was hit on the toe.
Interesting thing right here with the Mets behind by 1 run, 2 men out here in the 7th, and Cohen is going to bat. A lot of managers would pinch hit in this spot, but Cohen is hitting away, and he flies out toward left field. It'll be playable for Guerrero. He puts it away, and the Mets are out. So a batter hit by a pitch ball, 1 left, and the score at the end of 6 1/2 innings. The Cardinals 2 and the Mets 1. We'll return right after this message.
With the April 21st game through the end of the season. For more information on how you can schedule an appointment to view available seat locations, call 718-507-1234 during office hours, and they are 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. The 1992 Mets, hardball is back.
Well, we're right here in the bottom of the 7th inning, and David Cohen still in the ball game, and he will be working to the Cardinals' Andres Galarraga. We have Stan Musial with us, and of course, if you were with us earlier, you heard him play the harmonica. And Stan, between innings, was saying that he thought he should get some bookings now that he's been heard in other places. So any of you who would like to book Stan Musial, just write WWOR TV.
Bring vaudeville back. Right?
And the first pitch to Galarraga hit deep to left field. Back is Coleman, and he reaches up and makes the grab right in front of the newly moved-in left center field fence at the 375 mark. Galarraga now 0 for 3 in the game, but he got Tim what I think was the key play so far in this ball game as he grounded out.
I don't think there's any question about it, and that's really the difference in this game was the ground out by Galarraga the last time up. He just misses this one, a hanging breaking ball from Cone. Nice play by Coleman, but the last time up with runners at first and third, Cone jammed at Galarraga. He hit a little weak ground ball the other way, but it scored a run and, as importantly, moved the runner into scoring position. And then Guerrero scored the go-ahead run in the 4th inning.
And Guerrero batting now for the 3rd time. Takes strike 1. Guerrero had struck out his first time up, got an RBI single in the 4th to put the Cardinals up 2-1.
I think we, the Cardinals, are fortunate to get Guerrero back because this guy's a good hitter, you know.
He can hit.
He can hit. He really can.
And he's not going to do that bad a job in left field. I mean, he's going to make the routine plays out there. He is one of the real potent RBI men in baseball.
And back to Cohn. It's off his glove. It'll be a tough play for Randolph, and he can't make it, and Guerrero has a base hit.
On the artificial surface, it gets back to a pitcher in a hurry. By the time a pitcher finishes with his release, he's about 55 feet. 50 to 55 feet from the hitter. And this ball just off the glove of Cohn, and Guerrero has an infield hit.
So Rex Hudler will be the pinch runner for Pedro Guerrero as he will take his place in the outfield. Hudler, a utility ball player, has outstanding speed, and he is on at first base with one man out, and Milt Thompson will be the batter. Barry Foote moving the outfielders around, and Hudler a threat to steal. First pitch grounded, fouled on the first base side by Dave Collins, the first base coach. Bonilla being moved over toward right center field. Milt Thompson at the plate. Hudler not too big a lead, and he is running, and the pitch is taken. The throw by Huntley is there in time, and Hudler is thrown out. Willie Randolph taking the throw, and Huntley with a fine throw and a powerful throw picks up the base runner.
It's just like his father, a very strong throwing arm by Hundley. As a matter of fact, Todd Hundley is wearing his father's number 9.
So the out for the second out of the inning, and Milt Thompson takes the curveball for ball 2. 2 balls and 1 strike. Thompson 0 for 2 in this game. Mets about hit the Cardinals. I should say the Mets and Cardinals have both had 4 hits in this game, so the hits are even. Cardinals wasting 2 of their hits. One time when Langford tried to stretch a single into a double and was thrown out, and then Guerrero after the base hit, Hudler thrown out attempting to steal, and that pitch is fouled off 2-2. Thompson playing in right field. And he fouls this one off. We're talking with Stan Musial, and Stan, it's nice to have you with us, and everything going well, huh?
Yeah, great. Bradford just came back from Florida after about 6 weeks down there watching the Cards and Baltimore Orioles, and having a nice vacation. You know, I play a little golf, fish a little, and what I really do is KT. Kill time. And enjoy it. Having fun.
Oh, that's great. That is terrific.
2-2, the last pitch, a foul tip, and now a ground ball hit back to Cohn. He makes a good play on it, and he will pick up the out to retire the side. 1 hit, no 1 left, and Stan, thanks a lot for being with us.
All right, Tim. Ralph, nice to be with you both. Great.
Okay, and here's a word from the New York State Lottery. Cardinals leading by a score of 2-1, top of the 8th inning, and a defensive change for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Todd Worrell, who has not pitched in 2 years. What a remarkable story. Reconstructive surgery on his shoulder. So Todd Worrell, his first appearance since 1989.
And out in left field for the Cardinals, a pinch runner for Guerrero, and he has taken Guerrero's place in left field, Rex Hudler. As the Mets bat here in the top of the 8th, trailing by a score of 2-1. Their 1 run coming on a home run by Bobby Bonilla. And it will be the top of the batting order for the New York Mets. Vince Coleman, Willie Randolph, and Bobby Bonilla, the first 3 batters that are scheduled. Oriel working against the Mets here, and this is the game plan of Joe Torre. He has an outstanding bullpen. Lee Smith also in that bullpen, and he set a National League record for saves last year, and Worrell will be used, and if necessary, Lee Smith. It has been that type of a ball club for Joe Torre, as his bullpen has been exceptionally good. 1 ball, no strikes to Vince Coleman. And now 2-0. Coleman in this game is 0 for 2 with a walk. But a very key play in the ball game was when Coleman, on ball 4 to Willie Randolph, running on a 3-0 pitch, was thrown out at third for the final out of the inning in the 3rd inning. Randolph walking on the pitch. If he had not been stealing in that position, the Mets would have had runners at first and second and 2 men out, with Bobby Bonilla coming up. Bonilla in his at-bat. After that, a half inning was over because of the base-running blunder by Coleman. Homered to right field for the Mets' only run. And the count now 2-1 on Coleman. Fastball chopped out to the second base side. Tim Jones has the play, and Coleman is out.
Now you would think that Worrell's all right. He threw the first 2 pitches for a ball. He has not pitched in the major league since 1989. He had 36 saves in 1986. Reconstructive elbow surgery in 89. And while recuperating in 1991, if you can believe it, he came up with a torn rotator cuff. So he has both had surgery on his right elbow and his right shoulder. And after a 2-year absence, here he is back pitching in the big leagues. That's a great story right there. If the Cardinals get this guy back, they are going to be tough in their bullpen run.
Lifetime 126 saves with 28 wins. And he has been an outstanding pitcher. And a strike call at 1-1. Paid crowd here today, 45,174. Total in the house, 46,425. Open day or night, as you would have it. And Randolph rounds it foul, so the count 1-2. Randolph is 0 for 2 with a walk.
There is nothing in his motion that would even indicate that he has had an elbow or a shoulder operation. They are doing such remarkable things in sports medicine now. It is probably 20 years ago, as early as 20 years ago, he would not have been given a chance to come back.
Was in 10 games this spring and pitched well in the 10 ball games, working a total of 11 innings, giving up just 8 hits, with an earned run average of 2.38. 2-2 the count to Randolph. And Randolph fouls it off, so the count stays at 2-2. Worrell with a fastball that time, and Randolph behind it. Jose De Leon working the first 7 innings, giving up 1 run on 4 hits while striking out 6 and walking just 2. First of a 4-game series with the St. Louis Cardinals tomorrow night will be on the air at 8:30 New York time. Saberhagen scheduled to work against Omar Olivares. Tuesday, game time an hour later than today. And there's a perfect pitch for strike 3. So Worrell strikes out Randolph 2 men away.
Take a look at our Shell financial update. Dow Jones average up 26 points. Standard & Poor's up a little over 4. Gold down 80 cents. Silver up 3 cents. That's our Shell financial update for Monday, April the 6th.
And now the batter is Bobby Bonilla, who has accounted for the Mets' only run with a home run, and he takes the first pitch called strike. Bonilla has 2 of the 4 hits for the Mets. A single after the home run That single in the 6th inning. One strike to count. And ball one, it's 1-1. And the 1-1 pitch ball, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Let's again play Wednesday night. On-deck batter for the Mets, Howard Johnson. And then the final game of this 4-game series Thursday afternoon. We'll be broadcasting that one on WWR-TV. Good fastball, 2-2.
Todd Worrell showing some of the same form that he showed back in the middle 80s when he accumulated those 126 saves.
1986, the Rookie of the Year, and he set a rookie record for saves with 36. 2-2 pitch, swung on and missed, and Worrell strikes out 2 of the 3 batters he faced, and that will end the inning. After 7.5 innings, it's the Cardinals 2, the Mets 1, and here's a word from Macy.
There are many ways to show the world you're a real Mets fan. Personally, I prefer this, the Mets MasterCard from Chemical Bank. It has all the advantages of MasterCard, plus a great lineup of special Mets benefits. You can even use your Mets MasterCard to buy tickets to see your favorite team, the Mets. Every time you use your Mets MasterCard, you get a chance to win a trip to Mets spring training or fantasy camp. So if you have one, use it. If you don't...
Well, the Cardinals leading 2-1, and a great job by Worrell in his appearance here after being out of action for 2 years. Striking out 2 of the 3 batters he faced, striking out Bonilla for the final out of the inning of a 1-2-3 inning. This is the natural sound of the crowd here of over 46,000. An emotional moment here at Busch Stadium on this opening night, and for the Mets, they're trailing 2-1. The batter is Tom Pagnozzi, and he takes the first pitch for ball 1. David Cohn, working here in the bottom of the 8th inning, has given up 2 runs on 4 hits while striking out 9, and that pitch for ball 2.
A terrific performance, by the way, for David Cohn, who continues to pitch well against the Cardinals. He has beaten the Cardinals more than any other National League opponent. And last year, his last 2 outings against St. Louis, he lost to 1-hitter, 2-1 in St. Louis, and then he 1-hit the Cardinals here in St. Louis. And now he's given up 4 hits tonight and trails 2-1. He's given up 6 hits in his last 3 ball games against the Cardinals, and unless the Mets can come back in the 9th, he'll be 1-2 in those 3 games.
Overall, he's 10-5 against the Cardinals, and he has pitched a very, very strong ball game. The Cardinals bunching 2 of their hits in the 4th to get 2 runs to take the lead 2-1. And Pagnozzi hits it out toward right field. Bonilla running over, and Pagnozzi is out. He is 0 for 3. That will bring up Tim Jones. Jones 0 for 2 in the game. Replaced Jose Oquendo, who injured his shoulder diving for a ball that was a base hit. Hit by Howard Johnson. Oquendo had to lead the ball game. And this one hit hard to right field. Bonilla, a good jump, goes back. 2 men away.
Take a look at the Macy's National League scoreboard. San Diego over Cincinnati 4-3. San Francisco behind Bill Swift, beating Los Angeles. Ramon Martinez losing that game 8-1. And Pittsburgh on top of Montreal. That was Draybeck against Martinez at Three Rivers in Pittsburgh this evening.
And we're going to have a pinch hitter for Todd Royale. It's going to be Gerald Perry. Perry hit .240 with 6 home runs for the Cardinals last year. So Gerald Perry, the pinch hitter, and we'll have Lee Smith coming in the game for the Cardinals in the top of the 9th inning. The Mets trailing 2-1. And a curveball by Cohen for a strike. There you see Lee Smith. He has completed his warm-up pitches and is coming into the Cardinal dugout as Cohen comes back with a fastball. 1 ball and 1 strike. Gerald Perry took over at first base for Guerrero when he was injured last year and did a tremendous job. Had a .272 with 3 home runs. Subbing for Guerrero after he had a fracture of his leg running into Pagnozzi as catcher, and that pitch a ball and 3-1 to Perry. Three balls, 1 strike. 2 men away, bottom half of the 8th inning, and going back, and the ball looped into right field. It might drop in, it will. Bonilla takes it on the rise, and a good play catching that one on a tough hop. And Perry comes up with a base hit as a pinch hitter. So a runner on with the Mets trailing 2-1.
With 2 outs and nobody on in a 1-run ball game in late innings, outfielders are encouraged to play a little bit deep, and it's proper for them to play a little bit deep, especially into the pull position. So Bonilla making a nice play on the in-between hop to hold Perry to a single.
And thrown over to first base, Perry back. Perry with 15 stolen bases last year. Looking ahead to the top of the 9th for the Mets, they'll have their 4th, 5th, and 6th hitters scheduled up. Howard Johnson, Eddie Murray, and Bill Pacoda as their first 3 batters. 1-0 the count. And a throw to first base. Huntley, the catcher for the Mets, has thrown out 1 runner attempting to steal. And the 1-0 pitch, a good curve. 1 ball, 1 strike on the strike call. Langford with the first hit of the game. A bloop single to right field in the first, was out trying to stretch it into a double. He also has struck out and grounded out. Short lead at first base by Perry. Game in favor of the Cardinals. Bottom of the 8th inning. 2 men out. And thrown again to first. Once again, Perry at first base with a short lead. The plate hit off the right field. Bonilla is right there. And he makes the catch and picks up 3 putouts in the inning. 1 hit for the Cardinals and 1 man left to score. At the end of 8, it's the Cardinals 2, the Mets 1, and here's a word from Bud Dry. Copyrighted telecast is authorized under television rights granted by Shirley Doubleday Enterprises LP solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, or other use of the pictures, descriptions and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Sterling Doubleday Enterprises LP and WWR-TV is prohibited. Any commercial or other use of the program, such as by charging admission for its showing, is likewise prohibited. Top of the ninth, the Mets coming up, and a new pitcher in for the Cardinals.
Lee Smith set a National League record with 47 saves last year. And one of the big reasons, look at the BB, fourth from the left. He walked 13 last year, only eight really, because 5 were intentional. He throws strikes and throws awfully hard, and he is a big man in the Cardinals' plan this year.
So the Mets trailing by 1, hitting here in the top of the ninth inning, and the leadoff batter will be Howard Johnson. Johnson with an infield base hit and a stolen base is 1 for 3 tonight. The Mets have been held to 1 run on 4 hits, so 1 run coming on a home run by Bonilla.
Fastball hitter against a fastball pitcher. This is a little early season excitement right here. Howard Johnson has gotten some big hits against the Cardinals over his career.
And so Lee Smith from the set position, and his first pitch is fouled off, a fastball fouled away. Lee Smith has appeared in at least 60 games in each of his last 10 seasons, a major league record. He was second in the Cy Young voting last year with those 47 saves. He also had 6 wins and 3 losses. And a line drive base hit to center field by Howard Johnson. His second hit of the game, and the Mets have the time run on.
And it's a lot different, Ralph, when you have your tying run on in the late innings, and he's one of your fastest runners, as Hojo is. Only Vince Coleman is faster in the Mets lineup.
Johnson with his stolen base back in the second inning. And the batter for the Mets is Eddie Murray, who is 0 for 3. Lined out to right field his last time up. Johnson edging off at first base, almost 2 feet on the artificial turf, and he draws the throw. Lee Smith saved 47 games last year in 53 opportunities. 89% in that department.
Yeah, the Major League save Bobby Thigpen 2 years ago. Lee Smith with 47 big ones last year, and the Mets the Mets have not hit Smith well at all since his return to the National League a couple of years ago. The Boston Red Sox had to decide whether to use Jeff Reardon or Lee Smith. They opted for Reardon, and Smith came to the Cardinals, and what an acquisition he was.
Started his career with the Chicago Cubs. And again, he throws over the first base. John Franco and Jeff Ennis throwing in the bullpen. Franco, the left-hander. Smith with 285 saves in his major league career. Make that 312 saves in his major league career. He is third in the all-time save list.
Yeah, only Raleigh Fingers and Jeff Reardon are ahead of him. Raleigh Fingers, you and Stan were talking about earlier, goes in the Hall of Fame this year. Smith with 312 and Fingers with 341.
And the pitch to Murray, taken for a ball. It's ball 1.
You don't want to bunt here. You don't want to hit and run. I mean, Smith's a high fastball pitcher.
1 ball, no strikes, and a swing and a miss for strike 1, 1-1. It's amazing that a fellow that looks so mean and is so big and throws so hard has that kind of control, and he doesn't hit anybody.
That's unbelievable. It really is. What a package.
Go to first base. He has hit only 7 batters in his 12-year career.
Wow. Didn't realize that. That's unbelievable.
Jeff Torborg in his first game managing for the New York Mets and trailing 2-1 here in the 9th inning, and this one fouled off. So it now is 1 ball and 2 strikes. I have to believe that Torborg will play it safe with Johnson, but if Murray is out, that he will attempt to move Johnson.
Yeah.
With Dakota coming up next. Murray, of course, a home run hitter with 398 home runs in his major league career. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count. Johnson again a good lead, and again he draws the throw. A little calling card throw on that one. Just to let Johnson know he knows he's there. One and 2 the count, and the pitch is taken just outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Pitch just missing outside. It was outside.
These Cardinal fans thinking it wasn't, but the umpires in the stands overruled by the umpire behind home plate. Another calling card to first.
Big pitch here, because if he misses with this pitch, then the Mets can send Johnson with the count 3-2.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And the pitch. Bounce up the middle, a base hit. Johnson is rounding second. He is going to third, no play there, and Johnson, the tying run, is at third base as the Mets have runners at first and third with no one out.
Outstanding base running by Howard Johnson and good hitting by Murray. Taking the fastball right back through the middle, and Howard Johnson realizing that the outfielders have to play Murray deep. Boy, that was a nasty pitch that Murray hit. And Johnson, realizing the outfielders were deep, takes advantage of it and goes to third.
Great speed by the cleanup hitter, and now Murray is coming out for a pinch runner. It's going to be Gallagher as the pinch runner, Dave Gallagher.
Boy, that was great hitting by Murray. I mean, that was a nasty, heavy sinker off the plate, low and away.
So runners at first and third, and no one out. Here in the top of the 9th inning, Mets trailing 2-1, and the batter is Bill Pecota. And he will not hit. It's going to be a pinch hitter. It's going to be Darrell Boston as the pinch hitter.
Here's a look at this pitch. Off the plate, low, sinking away, and Murray hits it back through the originator. That's with a golden opportunity to at least tie it in the 9th.
Cardinals are playing their infield back at short and second, with Darrell Boston as the pinch hitter. That's going for the left-hand batter against the right-hand pitcher, and the fastball is fouled back out of play. Boston, acquired from the Chicago White Sox when he was released. And he was released by the Mets manager Jeff Torborg when Torborg was the manager for the White Sox. Now in here is a pinch hitter, a chance to keep it going for the New York Mets in the 9th inning. And this pitch is on the inside corner, called strike. Boston very unhappy with the call.
John McSherry says the fastball caught the inside corner. It looked like it did.
Boston hit .275 for the Mets with 4 home runs and 21 runs batted in. And now with the 2-strike count against him, and he fouls off the 2-strike pitch. On deck batter for the Mets, Kevin Elster.
Mets with one left-handed pinch hitter left. Make that two. They have Dave Magadan and Mackey Sasser left on the bench.
One and two the count. Gallagher, the runner at first, a very short lead as Lee Smith catching. Johnson, the runner at third base, representing the tying run here in the 9th inning. And the next pitch of fastball fouled away again.
Tell you, Ralph, this is a key at bat to keep Elster in the game also. And now Mackey Sasser is coming out to pinch hit for Kevin Elster. And you've got Pacoda out of the game. If Elster's out of the game, who plays short and third?
Well, they got Novoa and, of course, Magadan.
So you'd have to have Junior Novoa at shortstop and Magadan at third. But Magadan's not in the game now. Why wouldn't you pinch hit Magadan for Elster?
And a breaking ball for a ball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Good question.
Of course, you got to tie it first before you can win it.
Last chance to tie as it's the 9th inning.
Dave Magadan with the bat in his hand. And, of course, if you get to David Cone, Magadan would be the hitter.
One of the things you think about with Boston, he does run much better than Magadan, and you think about staying out of the double play.
Right.
2 and 2 the count. And it's a swing and a miss, and the bat flies over the head of the pinch runner Gallagher, and it's a big strikeout for Lee Smith. The strikeout for the first out here in the 9th inning. No contact, no advance by the runners.
Yeah, that's the other thing you think about with nobody out, though. If you ground into a double play, you've tied the ball game with Magadan, and you're not wasting a player. Dave Gallagher remaining at first base. Now double play, of course, ends the ball game. I think I would rather have Magadan pinch hitting with nobody out and runners at first and third than in other situations.
He is less likely to strike out in that situation.
Right.
If you go by the percentages, now it will be Mackey Sasser as the pinch hitter. Infield set back for the double play. And Smith with his first pitch, and Sasser fouls the fastball away.
Of course, now, if the Mets do tie it and you don't get to the pitcher, then what you can do is insert the pitcher in the number 7 hole, put in Magadan, and have him bat 9th, to where if it goes to 10 innings, he could lead off the inning. But the Mets would be weakened considerably defensively because they have both Pacoda and Elster, the starters on the left side of the infield, out of the ball game. But again, you've got to tie it first.
Got to keep it going here as they're hitting in the top of the 9th. 1 out, runners at first and third. Sasser with a 1-strike count. And now a ball. That's 1 ball and 1 strike. Sasser last year batted .272 with 5 home runs. One of those home runs was a pinch hitter.
I think that came off Jeff Brantley of the Giants.
And this ball hit down to the shortstop. It might be the double play. The throw to first is not in time, and the Mets tie up the game. The Mets tied up on the ground ball out, and Sasser just beating the throw to first base to keep it alive.
We talked about the weak ground ball by Galarraga earlier. That prevented the double play with 1 out and runners at first and third. And now the same thing happens to Mackey Sasser. He doesn't hit it hard enough for the Cardinals to get the double play. An RBI for Sasser. Johnson scores and cheerleads.
And now the batter will be Todd Hundley as the Mets have tied it here in the ninth inning. 2 men away, and Sasser the runner at first. Sasser will probably stay in the ballgame and take over at first base. As Hundley bats for the 4th time, he is 0 for 2 and was hit by a pitch ball. And that pitch, a fastball for a ball. 1 ball, no strike.
That's right. You're going to have Mackey at first, and if Todd, regardless of whether Hundley makes the last out or not, it will be Magadan at third and Noboa at short. So an interesting defensive alignment for the Mets, but at least they've tied it.
They have tied it at 2 with a run here in the top of the 9th inning. Goldberg trying to get his lineup card straightened out to see who he has left and where he will play the players.
Here's the first game of the season. But it is interesting. This is the first National League team that Jeff Torborg has managed. Both he and Barry Foote have been with an American League team, and you don't have this type of strategy in the American League. And Jeff and Barry obviously will figure it out. And that's exactly what they're trying to do right now. Trying to figure out what to do with Magadan, and I would imagine make a pitching change.
This one hit on the ground out to the right field side. It goes through for a base hit. And Sasser moves on to third base on the single by Todd Hundley, his first hit of the year. And the Mets now have runners at first and third, and they'll have a pinch hitter coming up. It'll be Dave Magadan, who will then stay in the ballgame at third.
So now they don't have to worry about how to mix their lineup because Magadan has to hit. Todd Hundley squeaking one through on the right side. Galarraga misses it. Jones misses it.
So the Mets with a go-ahead run at third with 2 men out here in the 9th inning, and Dave Magadan the batter. There'll be a short lead at first base, and Magadan pops it up. Ball playable for Ozzie Smith, the shortstop, and he makes the catch to retire the side. But the Mets get 1 big run on 3 hits. They leave 2. And as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning, it's the Mets 2 and the Cardinals 2. And here's a word from Coca-Cola Classic. Finish, the new pitcher for the Mets. He's 0-2 from last year with no saves. He'll take over for David Cohn, who pitched 8 strong innings, giving up 2 runs on 5 hits while striking out 9 and walking 1. Magadan, who was the pinch hitter for David Cohn, will stay in the ballgame and be at third base. Junior Ball will be the shortstop for the New York Mets, replacing Elster, who was taken out for a pinch hitter. And Mackie Sasser, who was a pinch hitter, will stay in the ballgame and play first base. So the bottom of the 9th inning, a 2-2 ball game, and this is the defensive alignment of the Mets as they rallied for a run in the top of the 9th inning to tie it at 2. The ball will be batting 5th. Ennis will bat 6th. Sasser, of course, 7th. Hundley stays in the game and will be 8th, and then Magadan will be the 9th batter as he pinch hit for the pitcher. Ozzie Smith will lead it off for the Cardinals. Ozzie 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. And Ennis with his first delivery, good sinking fastball, strike 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ennis 0-2 with no saves in 69 games last year, and the off-speed pitch is fouled away, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
That's what Jeff needs. He needs the off-speed pitch. The breaking ball will not go down. You can't throw a pitch from that far down under and have a breaking ball that breaks down. So Ennis's breaking ball breaks like a slider, parallel to the ground, and that was it right there.
So the count goes to 2-2.
In order to have a breaking ball go down, you have to stay on top of the pitch. And you can see that that's almost like a slurve that Ennis throws now.
Oh, really hanging up there. The 2-2 pitch, and it is swung on and foul tip, so the count remains at 2-2. Ennis has had difficulty with left-hand batters. They've hit 250 against him. Right-hand batters only 197 with that good sidearm motion. And he comes back. The ball punched out to the shortstop, Noboa. His throw to first base to Sasser for the out.
And that was the breaking ball, that flat slurve that Ennis has come up with. He worked on it last year. He's trying to perfect it this year to give him another weapon in his arsenal. Take a look at the Toyota American League scoreboard this afternoon. Toronto over Detroit 4-2. Minnesota over Milwaukee 4-2. Baltimore behind Rick Sutcliffe, beating Cleveland 2-0. Texas at Seattle later on, along with Kansas City at Oakland.
2-2 right here at Busch Stadium, with one out in the bottom of the ninth inning, and Todd Zeal, the batter, and he takes the first pitch for ball one. Zeal 1 for 3. A single and a run scored in the fourth. Mets led 1-0 on Bonilla's home run after 3.5. The Cardinals took the lead in the bottom of the fourth, 2-1. The Mets tied it with a run in the ninth. And now we're in the bottom of the ninth inning of a 2-2 ball game. And it's ball 2, 2-0 to Zeal. And ball 3, 3-0. On deck batter for St. Louis, Rex Hudler, who replaced Pedro. Pardon me, the on deck batter is Galarraga, with Pedro Guerrero taking out a lineup. Hudler was batting after Galarraga, and that pitch a strike, and it's 3-1. Zeal hits it down the line, but foul. And again now 3 balls and 2 strikes.
That's what you should do with the count 3-1. If you're going to take a healthy cut, you should try to pull it and try to end the ball game. It's almost like a free swing, that 3-1 or 2-0 fastball that you know you're going to get. Leave your feet.
Taggart in the third baseman, deep and over by the line to guard against the extra base hit. The outfield deep, and this ball hit in the shallow left center field. It might be trouble as the left fielder is playing deep. It will drop in. It will not drop in as the catch is made, and a fine play there by Noboa. Huh. What a play by Noboa.
We were kidding this year. Steve Hurt from the Elias Sports Bureau was talking about Junior, and he said, he's Noboa. Well, you know what? He looks like Larry Boa on this play. Boa, the longtime shortstop for the Phillies and the Cubs. And, boy, that was a terrific play by Junior Noboa.
He really did a job there in a very difficult play, and that will bring up Andres Galarraga. Galarraga 0 for 3. And then he goes after the sweeping curveball and misses strike 1. 2 men away, bottom of the ninth inning. 2-2 ball game. Again, the sweeping curveball, but a ball, and it's 1-1.
You know, if that ball falls in, that's a double. That's not a single. And Junior Noboa, late inning defense is the toughest thing in the world for a player to be inserted for late inning defense. And Junior Noboa just made a brilliant play on that pop-up by Zeal. Wow.
Hit up the middle for a base hit, so Galarraga keeps it alive for the St. Louis Cardinals. He represents the winning run at first with 2 men away. And the batter will be Rex Hudler, batting for the first time. Hudler replacing Pedro Guerrero after Guerrero had singled. He went in as a pinch runner and was caught stealing. So Hudler batting for the first time with a winning run at first base and 2 men out, and the throw to first. Galarraga drawing the throw, not really a threat to steal.
He's not a slow runner, but he's not a base stealer.
Had 5 stolen bases last year for Montreal, and there's the strike.
I think a lot depends on the count. If Joe Torre sees Rex Hudler go to 0-2 or 1-2, he may send Galarraga either on a straight steal or a delayed steal.
Hudler with 1 home run last year hit .227. And again to throw to first. And now Hudler asking for time. Two balls, 2 strikes. Galarraga short lead at first base. Another breaking ball for a ball. Hudler also coming to the Cardinals from Montreal. Paul Gibson, a left-hander throwing in the bullpen for the Mets. Bill Thompson, a left-hand batter, due up next. The 1-1 pitch, grounded foul. So Hudler out in front.
Galarraga looking over at Bucky Dent, the third base coach. And this is a good running situation. You don't have a lot to lose. If the pitch is a strike and Hudler puts it into play, Galarraga could score on a short double.
Outfield very deep to guard against the extra base hit. Galarraga with an average lead at first base, and time is called. Opening ball game, and it's an exciting game here for 46,000 plus people. Galarraga does not go, and a wild swing at the curveball will end the inning. So the strikeout by Ennis after giving up the base hit to Galarraga, leaving 1, and the score at the end of 9 as we go to extra innings. The Mets 2 and the Cardinals 2, and here's a word from Bud Dry. He more or less saved the day for the New York Mets on this play. It is tough, and it's over the head, and he makes that one-hand grab, and as he comes to the bench, he gets his reward. And here again is Tim.
All right, and Vince Coleman bunting, and Galarraga misses the tag.
And the question is, did he stay in the lane trying to avoid the tag? He made a move outside of it.
Right. Good point.
Is he in it or not? Evidently he is. No protest by the Cardinals. And Coleman with a big bunt base hit. We'll check it out. First baseman has to field the ball. Galarraga there, and Coleman avoids the tag, and he stays on the line.
Wow.
That was close.
Wow. How about that? You cannot run out of that line to avoid the tag. If you have a base hit, I would imagine Coleman will be stealing or Randolph bunting here. And that's with a lot of options. A 2-2 game, top of the 10th. You cannot run outside that line to avoid the tag, and as Ralph said, Coleman right on the line with his left foot. And he avoided the tag, but somehow stayed in that area and has a bunt base hit to lead off the 10th inning. Hit number 8 for the Mets. The Mets have already done better against Lee Smith than they did all of last year. In 8 games, Lee Smith had 6 saves, and the Mets did not score an earned run against him. And they have won in 1 inning tonight, trying to win it. Randolph squares the bunt and takes the fastball outside. Ball 1. I think you play it safe here and bunt as opposed to having Coleman steal. Pagnozzi with an awfully strong throwing arm has already nailed Coleman once tonight.
And you also have your big hitters coming up, Bonilla and Johnson.
Remember, Murray is out of the game, so Junior Noboa is the 5th hitter. So if Randolph does bunt, you might figure that Joe Torre will go ahead and walk Bonilla and take his chances with Johnson and Noboa. Squaring to bunt, he takes the strike. 1-1 to Randolph. As far as baseball fans are concerned, this is a midsummer night's dream in April. Opening night extra innings.
And strategy all over the place.
Wow, I'll say. 2-2 game, top of the 10th inning. Coleman at first, nobody out, 1-1 to Willie Randolph. Smith does not have a good move to first base. And Randolph bunts, and it's a good one. Smith will have to go to first base. Coleman actually, I believe he slipped on his way to second base. Smith didn't see it and went to first base anyway. Smith looking back at the path he had just taken.
Well, and that's used the sacrifice. The bunt is a good one by Randolph. They get the force play to get the out at first base. And on the play, the Mets have the go-ahead run at second with Bobby Bonilla coming up. There's a little interference there.
Yep, you cannot interfere with the runner without the ball or if you're not making an attempt on the ball. So Coleman didn't slip, but he almost ran into Tim Jones. But he was awarded second base anyway. That's what the second base umpire, Bob Davidson, said. If there was a play on him, he would have been safe.
He would have been safe, yeah. Fielder has the right to the ball if he's fielding the ball, but not when he doesn't have that chance.
Right. So Joe Torre is electing to pitch to Bobby Bonilla. Willie Randolph with a sacrifice. And I guess if Lee Smith gets Bonilla out, then Joe Torre will elect to walk Howard Johnson. It's kind of a situation where Joe has to choose his poison with Johnson on deck. Bonilla has homered and singled in 4 trips. And Bonilla called timeout. He was given timeout by John McSherry, the home plate umpire. One out, 2-2 game, 10th inning. Outside corner, strike one. Nothing in one to Bobby Bonilla. Tim McCarver and Ralph Kiner, glad you've joined us tonight. And this has been a dandy. Top of the 10th inning, the Mets scoring 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 9th to tie it. Cardinals with 2 in the bottom of the 4th. David Cone pitched 8 innings, in which he struck out 9 and walked 1, giving up 5 hits and 2 earned runs. Fine performance by David, who did not have a particularly impressive spring. Ralph, 1 and 3, an ERA over 6 in 6 games.
Struggled all spring, as a matter of fact, and was not in command of his pitches, but certainly was here tonight.
Nothing in 2 now to Bonilla. Rob Carpenter, Bob McClure. McClure, the left-hander, and Chris Carpenter. I said Rob. I was thinking of our partner, huh?
That's right.
Yeah. Chris Carpenter.
Used mainly in middle relief last year and did a tremendous job. One time last year he was 6-0. McClure, of course, was with the Mets for a short time. He's been around for years and years.
Agnazzi wants to talk to Lee Smith. And they change the signs here. If they do, the one thing pitchers and catchers want to do, you want to alert the infielders. You don't want the infielders to be confused out there. But the one thing about Lee Smith, everything he throws is hard anyway. Fastball, slider.
Hard slider.
0-2 to Bobby Bonilla. 1 out with Coleman at second base. Coleman gives pitchers so much to think about when he's on base. Ozzie Smith behind Coleman. That opens up the left side. Bonilla does not hit a lot of grounders the other way, so Smith is relatively safe doing that. And the slider is outside, ball 1, 1-2. Cardinal outfield is deep and straight away. With the exception of Hudler in left, he's shallow. Inside, ball 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Bonilla. The Mets on top, 4-2. Bobby Bonilla with his second home run of the night. Wow. Oh, brother. A slider down and in, but not for long. The Mets, who failed to score against Lee Smith last year in 8 games, have scored 3 against him tonight and have the lead 4-2 here in the 10th. Baby. Woo.
Well, Bobby Bonilla with a monstrous home run back in the 4th inning to put the Mets up 1-0. He gets this slider, and it's as deep and as far as the first one.
Oh, man.
Dividend. Woo. Bonilla now with his 3rd hit of the ball game, 3 for 5. He has driven in all of his runs with home runs, 3 RBIs, and we're going to have a new pitcher in the game.
Oh, man. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by New York Telephone, who reminds you that we're all connected. And did he ever connect on that slider? We'll be back in a minute.
4-2, a new pitcher for the Cardinals. It's Bob McClure as Bonilla gets his 2nd home run of this ball game. And the batter will be Howard Johnson.
Joe Torre switching Johnson around to his weaker side. And Hojo fouls it off. Speaking of weaker sides, as we look at Bob McClure.
1-1 with no saves last year. 3.13 earned run average. A veteran left-hander came to the Cardinals after being released by the Angels.
Popped up in the infield as McClure sidearm Johnson. And Tim Jones, the second baseman, makes the play. Pardon me. Talking about weaker sides, Bobby Bonilla hit 18 home runs last year. 14 home runs were hit as a right-handed batter, which means he hit 4 as a left-handed batter. So in one night with the Mets, the first night, he has hit half as many home runs tonight as he did all of last year as a left-handed batter.
And if you saw those 2 home runs tonight, you'd say, how come he only hit 4 left-handed? They were monster home runs.
That's an excellent point. I mean, he crushed 2 balls. One a fastball from the starter this evening, Jose De Leon, and the slider from Lee Smith. 4-2, New York here in the 10th inning. 2 balls and 1 strike to Junior Noboa. And this may sound funny, but guess who's on deck? Number 16, Doc Gooden. And if Noboa gets on, Gooden will be the pinch hitter for Jeff Ennis. Has this been a game?
A little of everything, and
oh boy,
litmus test for Jeff Torborg in the National League as a manager for the first time.
Noboa down on strikes, and the angriest guy in this ballpark is Doc Gooden. He didn't have a chance to hit. 4-2, New York. We'll be right back after this from the Las Vegas Tourism Department. Rub it. Mets on top 4-2, and their ace, left-hander John Franco, in the game. Franco, last year with 30 saves, a 5-9 record, will try to win it for Jeff Ennis. Jeff Ennis winless last year, and he had few opportunities to be on the winning side. So all sorts of strange things have happened tonight. Bobby Bonilla with 4 home runs last year as a left-handed batter. He has 2 tonight. Jeff Ennis, 0-2 last year. 61 appearances and didn't win a game, and he's got a chance to win on opening night as Milt Thompson swings and misses at the Franco fastball. And hitting. Nope, foul ball. Thompson stayed hitting, and here comes Joe Torre. Franco had not hit a batter in his last 5 seasons, so if he is awarded first base, it will be something that would be very unusual, and it looks as though John McSherry, the home plate umpire, is not going for the protest. Well, I think the Mets got a break on that, don't you, Ralph? Because there's no way that Milt Thompson can think fast enough. It was like Todd Hundley earlier.
Right, yeah.
No way he can think fast enough to say that the ball hurt him.
Let's see if we can see it on the replay. Fastball inside. Thompson moves into it. And it did appear to hit him on the hand or arm, one or the other. And you see him moving in. Now, technically, you have to try and get out of the way of the ball. At the last minute, he pulls off a little bit, but he was certainly moving in.
See, he holds the ball right down on the knob.
The bat, yeah.
Or the bat down on the knob. And there's really not a lot of room for that ball to hit wood down that far. And it looked like he was shaking his hand on his way down.
Might have got a piece of his hand and a piece of the bat the way it came off. It really came off with that.
No, that means it would have hit it. That's a hit batsman then.
Yeah.
If it hits wood and hand, it's a hit batsman.
The ball really came off of there on the line, and he certainly reacted immediately.
He did. Yeah, you can't react that fast. And if I were a home plate umpire, that's what I would go by. There's really, you know, it's so hard to tell, but the Mets get a break. 0-2 to Milt Thompson. Grounded back to Franco. Good play. 1 out.
A little of everything in this ball game.
Well, folks, the family of Budweiser Beers is proud of all the friendships they've helped make. So when they remind you to know when to say when, it's all in the name of friendship. The familiar Clydesdales carrying the Budweiser wagon before the game. And the outfitted fellas with the Dalmatian. Tom Pagnozzi now the batter. And he takes ball one. Pagnozzi 0 for 3 on the night. We have had a little bit of everything tonight. 4-2 New York, bottom of the 10th. Pagnozzi fouls it away 1-1. Tom, from a baseball family, his brother Mike, a player for the Baltimore Orioles minor league. His brother Tim played shortstop for the Phillies minor league team. Neither are playing now as the count runs to a ball and 2 strikes to Tom Pagnozzi,
who had 9 stolen bases last year. The last catcher to steal 9 stolen bases in the season, Tim McCarver.
For the Cardinals.
For the Cardinals, that's right, 1966.
Well, Tom won't steal tonight unless the Cardinals at least tie it. Well, our Nobody Beats the Wiz game summary shows Bobby Bonilla all the way. Bonilla solo home run, put the Mets on top. And then in the bottom of the 4th inning, Galarrago and Guerrero had RBIs, with the Cardinals leading 2-1 in the 9th inning. Mackey Stasser, an infield out, that scored a run. And in the top of the 10th inning, it was Bobby Bonilla, a 2-run shot on a 2-2 pitch off Lee Smith. And John Franco is in to try to save it for Jeff Ennis. Craig Wilson makes that Bernard Gilkey pinch hitting for Tim Jones, and in foul territory is Mackey Stasser, and that'll do it. As John Franco picks up save number 1, Jeff Ennis with a win, his first since 1990. And the hero for tonight's game, Bobby Bonilla. 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, 3 hits, and the Mets win it 4-2. Ralph and I will be back with some closing comments right after this word from Budweiser. All right, Rollins, thank you very much. A lot of excitement here in St. Louis, and if you're a Mets fan, you have got to be happy with the acquisitions over the offseason as the Mets win it 4-2. Opening night here in St. Louis spoiled. And you know what? I bet there's not one New York fan talking about Bobby Bonilla's salary right now.
Certainly earned part of it right here today with those 2 monstrous home runs, driving in 3 runs for the Mets and, of course, getting a winning blow. You know, a funny thing about the ball game, 2 softly hit balls really set up the chances for the scores in the ball game. A slow hit ground ball by Galarraga that set it up for the Cardinals to score 2 runs, and then Sasser just beating a double play attempt on that slowly hit ball that they couldn't make a double play on, and the Mets got back in the game in the 9th inning.
Yeah, those were the 2 ticks tonight, and the tack was in the 10th inning as Bobby Bonilla really tacked one off Lee Smith. A 2-run shot, and he is our Budweiser star of the game. And a well-earned Budweiser star of the game it was. Mets win it 4-2. Lee Smith, a 4-2 loser, while Bobby Bonilla goes 3 for 5 in his Big Apple debut. Dozen runs have sent the Mets down to defeat the last couple of nights, with Todd Zeile leading the way, going 5 for 11 in those 2 nights and knocking in 5.